Hello and welcome to the topic Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources, Class 8. What is a resource? A resource is a substance in the environment that is useful to us, which is economically, technologically, and also socially and culturally acceptable within our society. We have soil, water, food, plant, or benches, or school, or environment. Everything is a resource. We need to have enough money to buy it. It should satisfy our needs, and it is termed as a resource. The land, soil, water, natural vegetation. How do we use them and how should we conserve them for future? We shall learn here. Land is among the most important natural resources. It covers about 30%, in fact 29% of the world geographical area. The remaining 71% is the water, and land is used for different purposes. We have forests, we have mining, building houses, roads, canals, different aspects. We use land for different aspects. When land is not used properly, it is prone to degradation. How man uses land for his selfish motives and how man is responsible for the degradation, we shall see. This is a case study which talks about land degradation, the hazardous mapping. Hazardous, we can see that when the mining is done, the exploitation is done very, very severely here. Man is responsible, he is utilizing the resources very, very selfishly. He uses for construction, he uses for different other aspects which fulfill his basic needs. When man uses the resources very carefully, then this exploitation of resources will not happen. So he uses science and technology and he empowers himself and is responsible for the degradation. This massive landslide has taken place at the Pungi village near Rekongpe in Kannur district of Himachal Pradesh, has damaged nearly 200-meter stretch of old Hindustan Tibet Road National Highway 22. So, man has to be careful. He needs to know the dangers which are prone to him and increase the vegetative cover or the plant life and needs to safeguard them. He should conserve the natural resources for future. So, let us now talk about the soil, the topmost thin grainy substance of the surface of the earth is called as soil. Soil is made up of organic matter, the minerals, weathered rock found on the earth. Soil is formed by the process of weathering. Weathering is washing away. This beautiful diagram of your textbook talks about the topmost soil where we have the green cover, the grass, the vegetative cover. The subsoil within it is the sand, the silt, and the clayey soil. Below that, the weathered rock material or the washed away rock material, and below that is the parent rock. What are the factors that form the soil? the parent rock that determines the color, texture, chemical properties of the land, of the soil, the content which is noticeable for us forever. Relief, the altitude, slope of the river which is flowing, the water which is flowing. The flora and fauna, the plant and the animal lives, and also microorganisms, they help in the formation of the soil. The climate, temperature, rainfall influence the rate of weathering or washing away of the humus or organic content. Next, we have the time that determines the thickness of the soil. As the time passes on, we have the different types of soil being formed. So, soil can be conserved by following different measures. If we don't follow the measures, then it will be washed away. So, when the topmost layer of the soil is washed away layer by layer, we call it as sheet erosion. If at that stage the erosion is not checked, then it will lead to finger shaped grooves called as rill erosion. Further, if it is not checked, it is called as the gully erosion. So, these are the steps to conserve the soil. Mulching. What is mulching? Mulching is the bare ground between the plants. This bare ground between the plants, there it is covered with organic matter like straw or the grass, and it helps in retaining the soil moisture, the humidity or water content which is present in that, it is helping it. Next, we have the Quantop barriers. The stones, grass, soil are used to build barriers, and these are along the contours and trenches that made in front of the barrier to collect the water. So the flow which is happening from the hills, here different elements are kept, and these are stopping it remains as a barrier. This is also used here, this water which is used in that particular region for tilling or agricultural purposes. This is contour plowing. So if the bund is nearby here, the water which is flowing, that water is used for cultivation here at the edge of the contour or the bund. This is terrace farming. Once again, the flow of water from the hill slope is also stopped by furrows or layers or platforms which are constructed, and then the cultivation is done. Rock dams. Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water or the movement of water, and this prevents gullies or even further loss of soil. These are shelter belts in the coastal areas as well as in the dry regions. It is formed in the form of rows here, continuous line which is there of trees. These are planted to check wind erosion as well as uh, the soil being carried away to other places. So this is a shelter providing protection for the crops. Intercropping, different crops are grown alternatively. You have a different crop here, different, different, different. So this is requiring different nutrients. So when intercropping happens, different nutrients of the soil are conserved, they are protected from the rain wash. The next natural resource we have is water. We know that the earth is comprising of 3/4 of water, and hence it is called as a blue planet. But from the 70% of the total water which is available, we have just 2.7% of the water on the earth for consumption, for usage. Most of it is frozen in the form of glaciers and icebergs that cannot be used, that is in the frozen form. So water is a very very precious element. We need to safeguard it, otherwise this natural resource is being depleted. There will be absolute scarcity of water for the future generations. So conserve every drop of water. The importance of water for every living being, right from the microorganisms to the biggest organisms, the oceanic, the amphibian, the human being, everybody, for their habitat and living conditions we need water. How can we conserve the water? Rainwater harvesting is a very important step towards water conservation. The fresh water coming from the rain can be conserved and used for different purposes. We can do the lining up of canals. This will reduce the water loss. We should treat the waste from the factories before it is getting released into the pure water bodies. If we encourage this sort of rainwater harvesting and channelizing the water in the agricultural farms, if we use the sprinkler methods, this will reduce the usage of water. Afforestation is also another method for water conservation. The natural vegetation which is available in our country, we have this natural vegetation. India is called as a subcontinent where different regions are having different climatic conditions. Some receive more than 400 centimeters of rainfall, some receive just 12 centimeters of rainfall, like the Rajasthan region. So it is having different types of forest in our country. We have the biosphere divided into different forests in our country. So how should we determine the contribution of this natural vegetation? What are the factors which determine the spread of natural vegetation in our country? How some are thick forests, how some are not so very tall? How can we have evergreen forests, deciduous forests, montane forests, thorny forests, classification of forests into different types? It depends on the relief, rainfall, temperature of the climatic conditions of the region, also the photo period or the sunlight of the region. The natural vegetation of India has been classified: evergreen forest, the deciduous forest, the montane forest, the tidal forest. This map shows the classification of different forests. The natural vegetation is the growth of the plant life, the flora, without the interference of man, which grows on its own. The virgin forest, untapped forest, which have organic matter, which give shelter and habitat for animals and different species. This is a case study of California, the forest fire in California. If we don't conserve the forests get depleted. Yes, forest fires killed nearly 41 in Greece. The different newspapers give different kinds of information and also statistical data. Kid with matches started massive US fire. So Simple mistake of human being can lead to greatest destructions of natural habitat. 5 lakh flee in the California fire. So, how can we conserve the forest? Vana Mahotsava, the social forest scheme, which needs to be followed. The festival of forest, create awareness on it. Social forestry, create awareness, raise awareness amongst the local people on the importance of forest, and we need to conserve the forest. This map shows the distribution of national parks in the country spread out. Bioreserves for conservation of forests and also the wildlife, the natural flora and fauna has to be conserved. Forest, National Forest Policy says 1952 says 33% should be kept under the forest cover. If we conserve the natural habitat, the animals, they shall protect the environment. It all depends on the food chain. How we conserve the environment will protect us in that way. If we exploit, the nature will exploit the man. So, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, all those endangered species which are having a threat for their life, they need to be conserved. This is an international organization which protects the animals, and nearly 5,000 wild animals and plants are being protected. 5,000 species animals, 28,000 species of plants are protected worldwide. I hope my concept is clear. Thank you for listening.